Welcome to Glascast. Good evening. We are happy to have you. But before we continue this evening, we have observed that we have a lot of viewers, but we are having less number of people who like, comment, and try to engage with us through our platforms. As you have always enjoyed our videos, we would encourage you, always engage with us, send your comment in the comment section, interact with us. We're here with you. And we're happy to take every feedback, every comment, every suggestion. And any of you that wants to even come to our studio to interact with us, you are very much welcome. So always continue to like, more importantly, to share our page to your friends, your colleagues, your family, and all the people around you. And on this note, I want to say welcome once again to Glascast podcast. With your team this evening, we are going to look at what has been happening as a follow-up to our discussion in the last episode. Remember we said the Nigerian situation has become like those books we read in those days.
One week, one trouble.
So we are going back to look at what happened this week, whether there is trouble or there is something else. It reminds me again of one book I read in the recent past, The Trouble with Nigeria. But we are not going into lectures or academics today. We are going to discuss issues that are current to Nigerians. Remember, if you are from Ghana, if you are from Uganda, you are from Liberia, South Africa, we want to also discuss issues that affect all of us. Whether you are in Africa, whether you are in the diaspora, we want to engage with you. So I would ask our senior doc here. No, it's been an interesting event in Nigeria this week.
Well, it's always interesting to be a Nigerian. I miss Nigeria, but things happening in Nigeria, like you said, is 1 week, one trouble.
1 week, one.
It's always every day there's something new that's coming up. Something that defies logic, that defies law, that defies human reasoning. That's the worrying part of it. A lot of things happen in Nigeria. You can only find it in Nigeria, and sometimes you wonder, why is this happening to my beloved country? Unfortunately, we are Nigerians and we can't run away from that. As we get on today, we will look at some of the things that have happened. The recent demonstration or march for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the arrest and rearrest, or the arrest and reabduction. I'm sure the firing or the withdrawal of the legal team of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the opening of his defense, and so on. There's so much to talk about. It's a kind of a continuation of our last episode, but I'm sure with your incisive questions, we will bring out very intriguing and educating discussions today. And make no mistake, as a lawyer that I am, I would always bring the legal perspective to it. Interestingly, we have by Mazi Ikenna Njoku here. Please here with us. Probably you may know sometimes we don't he's a man to the opposite direction.
And I am disagreeing with he called Nigeria my beloved country. I disagree with him entirely.
That's what I'm talking about. I've not even started and he has agreed. But man, let me say this before we start. You cannot decide what is beloved to me. Don't I have the right to decide that Nigeria is beloved to me? Do you have the right to disagree on that as well? I said, Nigeria, my beloved country.
Yeah, it's your choice. If you look at the so-called founding fathers that we have, none of them loved Nigeria. Not even a single one. From Awolowo to Sadwana of Sokoto. You understand? Zik, Nnamdi Azikiwe, our own Zik, was highly criticized for one Nigerian stand that he had, which affected us, the Igbos, especially during the fight that we had with the Nigerian state. So I don't think there is anybody today outside the ruling elites that you will give an option to say, would you have loved to be born in Nigeria? That will say, yes. If you doubt me, carry out any survey, ask somebody, choose Australia, even choose Botswana, and say, would you prefer Botswana, to be born in Botswana or Nigeria? What do you benefit from Nigeria? It can't be my beloved country.
Mazi, let me take you on this. We have not even got into.
I'm just taking my time. Let me take you on this.
One, there is no doubt. I have also made it abundantly clear in this podcast. Things are not working in Nigeria. There is no leadership. There is economic crisis. There is healthcare crisis. Our education system is in tatters. I have said that repeatedly, and I continue to say that, but it doesn't detract the fact that Nigeria is my beloved country. Every day I get up, my kids will ask me, Daddy, what do you want? I say, I would love to go to Nigeria. Now, if you say that somebody would have taken the option of being born outside Nigeria, in the current situation of things, I would say I will agree with you on that. Yes, that is why all of us are here in the UK. If Nigeria is working, I don't think I will be shivering under this code. I would have been back home. But again, these statements you made, I want us to put it in context and in perspective. 25 years ago, I don't think somebody would have made these statements that he would have preferred to be born in Botswana. It's because things are not working in the current Nigeria situation. So it's not like Nigeria has been that bad from inception. 25, 30 years ago, even like 35 years ago, it was $1 to 80 kobo. Many people who schooled abroad went back home. They didn't stay back. I mean, then you didn't need visa from Nigeria to come to the UK. I'm sure of that one. It was only US that those days you could do. I mean, it was just for the asking. You put in, they would grant you visa immediately. So at that stage, I don't think anybody would choose the option of being born even in America or in the UK.
But so let me ask you this. For the fact that you don't need visa to go to one country or the other doesn't mean that that country is good. If Pakistan invites me and say that I don't need visa, it doesn't mean that I will jump to Pakistan. That is good. But if you look at Nigeria, from inception, they said 25 years ago, I've been in this country more than 20 years. And I know before I came to this country.
No, I said 30 years, 35 years back.
35 years.
No, sorry to interrupt you.
But even before the creation of Nigeria as an entity,
okay,
there had been numerous instances of violence, of dealing with my people, whether it's in the north or in the southwest.
Are you talking of creation of Nigeria or before Nigerian independence?
Before the creation of Nigeria,
before the creation of Nigeria.
Nigeria was amalgamated in 1914.
Yeah.
There had been documented evidence of violence against Ndi Igbo.
Before
before even 1914, up until 1940 something, even after independence, IPOB documented some of these things. And the purpose of those documentation is to buttress the fact that the creation of Nigeria was amalgamation of Nigeria and the independence of Nigeria even worsened it. Because you cannot call Nigeria an organic state. States, are formed organically, where you have harmonious coexistence between the peoples. But you cannot call that Nigeria, because Nigeria is an administrative creation.
Mazi, let me come in here.
Yeah.
This thing you are saying is not peculiar to Nigeria. Even here in the UK, go back to history. There has always been a case of violence against each other. I read a book recently. I discovered that in the early days, in the 15th century, the Christian faith killed a lot of people. You agree with me on that?
Yeah.
So, but that's not what God instructed them to do. We'll come to that. But when you go to America, the Native Americans, there was a case of violence. If you go to Australia, even New Zealand, Canada, there were such documented instances of violence in those places. It doesn't make them inherently bad. Human society will evolve. What is acceptable last year may not be acceptable now. The problem we have in Nigeria is that we are not evolving positively. Things that happened in the past, which we should have evolved, outgrown, and, move forward as a sane, legal and law-abiding society, we are not doing it.
Okay, let's look.
I agree, on that, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, if I may come in here, I think we would, dedicate an episode to look at the foundation of Nigeria is a very interesting conversation, and I find myself in a situation where I have two lawyers with no judge in the house. So I don't know where which side to take.
You should be the judge.
Yeah, so in this case, let's start by looking at the activity that took place on the 20th of October 2025, which is supposed to be the anniversary of the NSAS protest in Nigeria. But that anniversary was overshadowed by the planned protest by the former presidential candidate Omoyele.
He's still contesting.
Okay. So by Omoyele Sowore, regarding the recent presidential pardon of certain individuals in Nigeria and the request for the release of the IPOB leader in the person of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We saw on the on the press how that event occurred, and I would want to get your views about the idea of protest as a constitutional matter and the position taken by the judge by giving an injunction about where protest should take place, even when it is the constitutional right of the citizens to protest anywhere, anytime they want. I want to get the views of the lawyers in the house.
Okay, let me go first, Maz, if you don't mind. I commend Omoyele Sowore. He's been very vocal. He's been constantly criticizing the government, calling out things that are not right. Maybe sometimes some of his approach may not be acceptable to some, may be acceptable to some, but I would say that in my own assessment, Sowore is, in quotes, the official opposition to the current administration because of some of the things he's saying. Because he has not been in politics, he has not soiled his hands, so he's able to come out vocally to criticize them, to call them out. Sometimes the kind of word he uses, he calls them outrightly, these are robbers, these are rogues, these are criminals. I may not have that boldness to call out somebody who has not been convicted of a crime, to call that person a criminal. That's why I say some of his approaches I may not, like what I may not say, but he's been vocal, he's been criticizing the government, calling them out, and also calling for this demonstration. Coming to the issue of demonstration, court has ruled over and over that it's a constitutional right of people to protest, to demonstrate. And keep in mind, just last week, America, about 20 different cities, they said there were over 5 million people on the street.
No King protest. Yeah.
Exactly, the No King protests marching on the street, and nobody brutalized them, nobody arrested anybody. They did their protest and go. Here in the UK, every now and then, the Free Palestinian organization, they march. People who demonstrate against immigrants like you and myself, they demonstrate.
Asylum hotels.
So people are allowed to, people demonstrate. It's their right, it's their constitutional right to demonstrate. That is why I said what is happening in Nigeria, we ought to have evolved beyond what we are still seeing now, but that is not the case. That is why I agree to a large extent with Mazi. But otherwise, I don't see the reason why police will be brutalizing peaceful protesters, people who are protesting for just causes.
Shooting live ammunition.
That is totally unacceptable for me. And again, from what we are seeing and what we are hearing in the news, they said there was no injunction, no court granted any injunction, that it was a rumor and propaganda. And keep in mind, APC is the government that runs on propaganda.
I hope APC members will agree with you on this.
They don't need to agree with you. We know now they run on propaganda. So they set out this propaganda. They have what do they call them? E-rats.
Social media.
Warriors, yes. Social media warriors who put out this propaganda to them. Court has granted injunction stopping them, but they said there was no injunction. And Sowore was saying, serve us, let's see. And if there is an injunction, it's either that a protest is legal or illegal. You cannot say you can protest here, but you cannot protest here. I haven't seen that anywhere. That's my take on that.
Yeah, considering the fact that the Nigerian state is in control of the judiciary, I wouldn't actually doubt that one judge there will just issue an injunction which clearly will be illegal. I wouldn't doubt that. Though, if there was any injunction, they should have produced it. But on the fact that you said about an official opposition, I agree with you entirely. I was listening to one UN rep some time ago saying that IPOB, led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is the only effective opposition in Nigeria. And when you look at the fact that Sowore is now trying to demonstrate for the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they are looking at it as if these two people should merge forces, we are finished. I think I sometimes look at this whole Nigerian issue from outside the box. When you look at it from outside the box, you can conclude and agree with me that Nigeria is in full control of the colonial state, colonial power. The reason I'm saying this is because I was having a discussion, I think, with you earlier today, and you said that what is happening today in Nigeria, post-colonialism, is a form of indirect rule, a continuation of indirect rule. The mere fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is championing legally for self-determination of his own people, is being held without if a judge, there has been a court judgment that he should be set free. He wasn't set free. And the way such things work is you release the person and then go on appeal. You cannot hold somebody that a judge, a court has issued a ruling rather, for you to release the person, and you hold the person and then appeal and see hold the person. What if at the end of the
even when the person constitutes a flight risk?
Even when the person constitutes a flight risk.
Yeah.
Remember, when you say flight risk, you have to, I always say this thing, let's always start stories from the beginning, not from the middle. The flight risk, or so-called flight risk, that they said Mazi Nnamdi Kanu constitutes, was engineered by the state. The state engineered it.
Do we have evidence to that?
There is evidence in court. Court has ruled. In fact, a Supreme Court judgment, not even a High Court. High Court has ruled that. Court of Appeal has ruled that a Supreme Court judgment. In fact, I have the judgment myself. I got it directly from Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer. The court said expressly that the state engineered the flight of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Mazi,
for the fact that he has that flight the capability to jabba.
So see the thing there. You cannot blow hot and cold. You cannot benefit from your illegality. You cannot cause somebody to run away and then you come to the court and say, hey, this person has run away. You can't do that. You are benefiting from an illegality.
But at the end of the day, he still has that capacity to run away.
No, everybody has the capacity to run away. Remember, the first rule of nature is self-preservation. You have to protect yourself in the face of danger. So when the state engineers the brutal assault on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you can't stand it. You need to give way. Our people normally say that he who runs
comes to fight another day.
Exactly.
But let me come in. You mentioned the court judgments. He's being tried at the High Court, and he went on appeal, Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal, said the state has no case against him. The state appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said he has a case to answer, remitted the case back to the High Court. That is why he's still being held in detention, and the trial is ongoing. The issue of whether he's getting fair hearing, fair trial are things that we'll probably talk about in the course of this discussion. But the latest Supreme Court judgments did not say he doesn't have a case to answer or should be released.
That is not the issue. The question he was asking was about the issue of flight. You understand? Of which the Supreme Court even used the language of rendition. It was rendition. The Supreme Court accepted that. The Supreme Court accepted that the issue of issuing arrest warrant in the first instance against him was ridiculous.
But there's another Supreme Court judgment that says he has a case to answer.
No, that's the same judgment. That's the same judgment. Yeah. See, that's why some of us are critical of that judgment. Because at the end of the day, you cannot rule all those things in favor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and end up saying he should go back to the trial court.
Well, they ruled because they have a charge before him. The issue of still being held in detention is a different thing. But whether he has a case to answer or not, the Supreme Court has ruled that he has a case to answer.
Yes.
And even in his trial at the High Court at the moment, you know, he made a no case submission. And you know what the no case submission, I have no case to, based on the case presented by the prosecution, I have no case to answer. And the judge ruled that he has a case to answer, that he should present his defense. Yes. That's why we are here. So he has a case to answer in the opinion of the court and in the opinion of the state that is prosecuting him.
Yes. When we are talking about opinion here, is it in the opinion of his lawyers, especially the person of our lawyer Jimako, that they are not, they have hit the brick wall, and the only way to get him out is through protest?
No. What I said in the opinion of those prosecuting him, I mean the state, and the opinion of the Supreme Court that says he has a case to answer. Well, the judgment of, I won't say the opinion of the Supreme Court, the judgment of the Supreme Court that says he has a case to answer. In the context I use the opinion of the state is that because he has not been convicted of those charges, the state is still of the opinion, because they haven't secured conviction. You know, I haven't worked in the civil service, but in the Ministry of Justice, when somebody, probably for serious matters, the DPP would write an opinion whether to prosecute somebody. Is that, I'm sure, that's correct. Yes, they would give their opinion. Yes, this person has a prima facie case. We can charge him and prosecute. So that's in the context I use that opinion of the state. But for the Supreme Court, it's no more an opinion. Sorry for that. It's the judgment of the Supreme Court.
So in this case, his lawyers and some of his lawyers and close associates went on the protest with Showore on the 20th of October. What is the implication of that protest? Was it necessary?
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary. There is absolutely no way that anybody will witness his clients being held under the condition Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being held and wouldn't protest. It's obvious to all of us that what is holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu there is not legal. It's political. It's obvious. If what is holding him is legal, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would have been out. Because what we are discussing about the Supreme Court judgment, if the court says, no, you cannot deny him bail on the basis that he jumped bail, because he didn't jump bail. That's what the court said. It says, the Supreme Court ruled that he didn't jump bail. So why is he not out? That's a simple question. Why is he not out? He's been held. Okay, let us look at the issue of no case submission that was the ruling that was delivered, I think, in September.
Yeah.
From the time the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made that submission, that was in June or thereabout. Why would it take the judge 3 months to arrive at the fact that he has a case to answer?
But then, you know,
it's political.
I wouldn't want to say that in this case now, because under the Constitution, after the final address, the judge has 3 months to deliver his judgment.
Okay, let me tell you something. Let me say something. No, that wasn't the reason the judge did that. The reason the judge did that was because the judge was going on vacation. That was why.
Which is the entitlement.
That shows a state that is in collapse. I'm a lawyer in the UK. Let me tell you how it happens, how it works.
Yeah.
There is absolutely, just as we are sitting here now, the organs of the state, the criminal justice system is in operation. People are committing crimes. People are in pubs. People are in the shops. So the police will have to go to those who are committing crimes, hold them, take them through the criminal justice system, as we are here now. But in Nigeria, that is not the case. So meaning that when the police arrest people, there is always a timeline. between arrest and the time you take them to court. There's always a timeline to keep them in detention before you can process those people. But in Nigeria, when you take somebody to court here, now there's always a judge, a magistrate, a sheriff in the court to hear the case. There's no issue. In fact, it was when I left Nigeria and came here that I realized that there is nothing like vacation. Judges going on vacation. The reason I'm saying this thing is because I practice in Nigeria, and I can tell you that you will be in trouble when your case falls in, and when it concerns human rights. Remember that when cases concern human rights, they are taken extremely seriously because they affect your liberty, your right to move about, your right to life, your life to freedom. And when it concerns those things, there is no way those things should be delayed because the judge is on vacation. But that is what is happening to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Considering the fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention since 2017, he left and then got abducted again, re-abducted. That case should have been prioritized. And again, that's one other point, please. Remember, the judge said that he was doing an expedited hearing. That was what the judge said. Remember, that's what he said. He said he's doing an expedited hearing because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in this system for a long time. If a judge said he's doing an expedited hearing, every lawyer was pressurized to present your case. They present their case within a few weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then it takes the judge 3 months to deliver a judgment in an expedited hearing. This is political. He was going to take instructions from his paymasters. Finish. Let's call a fact a fact.
I know Elder wants to say something, but I want to clarify something. Are you trying to say that in the UK that judges don't go on vacation?
The way you and I go on vacation is the way every judge goes on vacation, meaning that in your workplace, there is absolutely no way all of you will go on vacation. Yeah, it doesn't happen. Yeah, but there must be somebody working.
Yeah, but if a judge is handling this case,
yes,
and it's a delicate case that no other person could handle.
Yes.
If the person goes on vacation, the other person cannot handle the case.
That's the problem with Nigeria. Nigeria will set an expedited hearing and then go on vacation. So why do you call it expedited?
Well, I would let
Mazi, I can see how passionate you are about this, and I understand your passion. I understand your passion. But then let's situate things in the proper perspective. You gave an example. If somebody, as we are talking now, people are committing crime, people are in pubs. You are talking of current cases that are happening now. When they are arrested, there are people who are, the criminal justice system to deal with their cases the following day as soon as possible, as required under the law. Now, we are not talking of a crime that's committed today or somebody that was arrested today. This has been an ongoing case. Like Dr. Eze alluded to the fact that a judge is already handling this case. And if you are going to assign it to another judge, he has to start the matter de novo. He has to start it all over again. And keep in mind, what you said is a speculation that is going to collect instruction from his paymaster. But like I said, he has 3 months to write his judgment. And that is what we've been practicing. It could be that situation under our law book is not fit for purpose. But that situation was not written there because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Our constitution is 1999 constitution, even though he said it was adopted from 1917. So is the fact that the constitution has been there. It was not written as soon as or immediately after Mazi was arrested. It's been there, and the judge complied with the provision of the law, delivered his judgment within 3 months. Expedited or not expedited, for as long as you are acting within the bounds of the constitution, you are home and dry, you are safe.
Okay, can I draw your attention to something?
Go ahead.
We are lawyers. We know that when issues are serious, like political issues, like human rights issues, there have been instances in Nigeria, in US, in Kenya, there have been instances where judges will deliver their judgment, their conclusion, and then issue the reasoning
for the
behind that 2-3 months after. The rationale being that they want the president to take up the position. They want the person held in custody to be released,
Released.
so that his human rights will be protected. So why didn't it happen in the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Let him take 3 months to give us the rationale behind his reason, but let him issue that.
Well, you can see that this discussion is getting interesting, and I would just stick back. If you don't have your popcorn yet, grab one. If you need a cup of coffee, it's cold in the UK, just now. So if you need a cup of coffee or tea or drink that could keep you warm, please bring it close to your table, because you could see that the direction that this discussion is going, and I will bet you are going to like it. Remember, if you have an idea or if you have a suggestion about what we are talking about here today, the comment section is there. Send us your comments, your opinion, your ideas, and we'll pick it up and see where we can align it to the discussions we have in the studio today. So I will give way for the elder himself.
Okay, writing your ruling or your decision and coming back 3 months to write your opinion or the reasons for your decision or for your judgment. I'm not sure it forms part of our constitution. Judges do it, yes, accepted, but it's not like they are required under the law to do that. They have the 3 months to write the judgment. And again, the trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been ongoing. I don't think these 3 months makes too much of a difference for as long as we are complying with the provisions of the law. In the last episode, I made mention of fair hearing, and I still stand by that. For as long as we are playing within the bounds of the law, within the dry letters of our constitution, precedents, I'm happy with that.
Well,
these 3 months wouldn't have changed anything.
I want to touch something. I am on learned colleague who have learned people in the room today. So I would continue to ask questions. Mazi made mention of political solution or political means of resolving this. And if you look at the history of the detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it has surpassed about 3 presidents in Nigeria. Our dear President Goodluck Jonathan, dear President Muhammadu Buhari, and late Muhammadu Buhari, our dear President, and the current dear President Tinubu. And, these are people that have the highest political powers in Nigeria. So when we are talking about the political solution, and I believe the protest this week was linked to that political solution, because they are taking it directly to Asorok to speak or to plead to the president to look into this matter. What is your position on this?
So I thank you so much. It's a very interesting perspective that you've brought up. People are criticizing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer for joining the protests, and they said, he shouldn't join the protests. He should continue to follow it through the process, the legal judicial means. But his argument is that it's the states. It's no more the issue of the judiciary. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been granted bail. The government ought to release him. And when it comes to implementing court judgment or execution of laws in Nigeria, is the executive in Nigeria. And who is the head of executive in our country at the moment is the president. Starting from the ones you call your dear and beloved president, I will probably do not agree with you.
Our dear beloved president, let President Muhammadu Buhari.
It's your own opinion. I won't argue with that, but they are not beloved and they are not dear to me.
Well, Nigeria is your beloved country.
Yes, Nigeria is my beloved country. No doubt about that.
So your president must be beloved.
Must be beloved.
I reject that. I reject that. So that is the reason why his argument is that it's no more a case of the judiciary. The judiciary have done what they're supposed to do, granted him bail, and the state should release him. Because even when you go to court and they have a case against you, if the court says discharged and acquitted, if the prison officials do not open that Black Maria, is that what they call again? That Black Maria. If they don't open the keys for you to come out, you will not go home that day. So in that case, it's now the executive who are incarcerating you. It has nothing to do with the judiciary. So that's the issue of why that protest is linked to the president and so on. And again, make no mistake, the issue of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is more political than legal. Because once somebody is saying, I want to secede, I want to go our separate way, we want to be an independent nation, it's a very, very, very political issue. No doubt about that. No matter the other things that are coming under it are secondary, other crimes that you may attach to it, but the main thing there is political freedom fighting and right to self-determination.
Mazi, do you have a different opinion on this political solution to this legal issue?
I've always believed that this issue is extremely political. There is no law that prevents a solicitor, a lawyer, a barrister from protesting for the client to be released. Ghanaian Fawemi did it. Femi Falana did it. Why must it be in the case
Even
of...
Tinubu?
Why must it be in the case of... I'm talking about lawyers now,
yeah,
yes. So why must it be in the case of Barrister Aloy that the issue of a lawyer cannot be protesting because the case is sub judice, as they call it? That's nonsense. That shows that the hands holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu are still extending even to stop people from protesting for his release. As long as I am concerned, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being held there because the artificial creation called Nigeria, the British real estate, wants to remain as it is. To be honest with you, it wants to remain as it is. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be granted bail, you can't tell him to stop his opposition, because the right to self-determination is a fundamental right, what we call jus cogens, a right that you cannot deprive somebody of. We have a right to our cultural identity.
Of course.
We have a right to choose our own political pathway, social relationships. So that's what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is asking for. And when he is released, he will continue to ask for it, and we support him. So if he continues to ask for it, the implication is that the artificial borders drawn by the British will be redrawn by the indigenous people who are claiming the right to self-determination. And the colonial state doesn't want it. And the head of Nigeria is an agent of an imperialist state. It's clear. It's on record. Tinubu is an active agent of the CIA. It's on record. I didn't say that.
Well, I need to see that record myself.
It's on record. I think I saw the judgment when they were looking to get his records from Chicago State University.
Exactly.
The CIA filed a counter or opposition saying that is an important... I don't know whether they use the
active, that's the word that they use.
Active, did they use the word agent?
Yes.
I read something.
Assets, not agent.
Yes, assets. So that's why I wanted to confirm.
Yes.
Active assets.
Yes.
What they mean, whatever they mean by that, I don't know. Coming to the issue of self-determination and Nigeria, we have a right to self-determination. It predates human society. Right to determine who you want to associate with, where you want to belong. And keep in mind, in 2014, Britain is Europe. They joined the EU,
the
European Union.
Yeah.
2016. They said this union, we don't want it again. And they had a referendum and pulled out.
Exactly.
The popular word thing we called Brexit.
Exactly.
2014. The union of Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, and Wales is over 300 years old. Up to today, Scottish government are still agitating. They had a referendum in 2014, if I'm correct, led by Alex Salmond. And if you come to Scotland, the Scottish National Party, SNP, is the ruler of this country. And their manifesto, number one, is Scottish independence.
Exactly.
They have not given up on that.
They have never given up on that.
They won't back down. In fact, if you are contesting as a leader of SNP,
and you don't agree to that,
if you don't have that as number one in your manifesto, your case is a case of brought in dead, not even dead on arrival. So your ambition is dead on arrival. Exactly. If you don't have that as number one in your manifesto. So I agree. The question is that the approach, the silencing of opposition voices, the issue of not allowing proper discussion on what your ambition is where I may differ with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But as for the right to self-determination, is an inalienable right.
And I don't think in this case nobody has questioned his position on the right to self-determination. I think the question has always been around like how he coordinates his activities, how he
so many people question it. People will tell you Nigeria is an indivisible and indissoluble entity. But keep in mind, probably your grandfathers do not know an entity called Nigeria.
Maybe my great-grandfather.
But yeah, well, I don't know how old. Maybe let me state that your great-grandparents.
Yeah.
The entity in Nigeria is about 114 years. So
about 111 years.
Yeah, 1914. So what were we doing before then? Why must we be forced in this marriage of strange bedfellows?
Let me pick up from what he said, because I want to ask him something. He said where he disagrees with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is on opposition, right? Yeah. That he questioning him.
No, silencing people who are opposing his agitation.
So who has he silenced?
I know you've watched him regularly, how he reacts to people who said we don't want to go or we need a further discussion on this. The name he calls them, the way he reacts to them, the way he calls them stupid, idiots, they don't know anything, that kind of thing.
I don't think this is an issue.
Yeah, but in this case, I think maybe people are. It may not be a case in the law court, but people have been able to establish that he has a very aggressive approach.
You have used the word I was looking for.
Because even because we are talking of political solution here, even the political leaders from the Biafra area that is fighting for secession, he doesn't allow them to speak. When they speak, he calls them name, like Okorocha became Okorosa, and they use them to sing a song. And there has been people have been saying that if you are an opposing voice to the activities of this group, that their agents within the Southeast region will come to you. In fact, there are a lot of assassinations and kidnapping and all these things have been linked to the activities, because they feel that some of those people that were assassinated or kidnapped and all these things are opposing voices, even from somebody who was deputizing for Nnamdi Kanu. I listened to him recently in the person of Uche Mefo, and is it Uche Mefo? Yeah? And you could see that he was, from his reaction, you could see that he was also going to be silenced before he booted himself out of what has been happening. I think there has been a lot of question about his approaches.
Remember that I always tell you, whenever you want to start a story, start from the beginning.
So what is the beginning?
When you don't start from the beginning, that's when you sometimes misconstrue certain things. Now, do you know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had actually protested in favor of Nigeria? As in, had a protest as a Nigerian carrying flag. It's on record. So when did this issue of Biafra, protesting for Biafra, and when did this issue of silencing oppositions come in? You called about kidnapping and political assassination. Do you think the Nigerian state will believe Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did that, and you don't see it in the charges? Do you think so? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will never ever have done that, and you wouldn't see it in court. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had those issues of abduction or assassination, and the state would have the state would have had those in charges against him, in the accounts against him in court.
But there was a link about his utterances about the NSAS into that came into the
was that charge not struck off? You cannot. Nigeria has no authority.
Have you seen this video many years ago in World Igbo Congress in the US where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu addressed them?
Yes, I have.
What do you have to say about that? When he was asking them that they need gun. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I want you to say something about it.
As far as I am concerned, the United Nations is in the UN Charter. allows legitimate resistance when you are being attacked. It is the law. Legitimate resistance means if you want to attack me with arms, I'm allowed to repel that attack from you. There is absolutely nothing wrong in the position of the United Nations in that light.
But I'm not privy to that information. When the United Nations is making this position,
it's a UN charter.
Is it for individual, group, or for a state actor?
The United Nations didn't specify that it's an individual. Whether it is a group in your house and you are being attacked, you have the right to defend yourself. But the UN Charter calls it legitimate resistance. You have a right to legitimately resist. That's the issue between Israel and Palestine today. And
don't take us too far. So forget about Israel and Palestine.
I'm not taking you too far, but there is what I want to answer that you said about Mazi. You know that when a state prevents the right to self-determination, we fold our arms and sit down and do nothing.
You see, it's not doing nothing. I gave examples here from the beginning.
Yes.
I mentioned Britain. They left EU, Brexit. I mentioned Scotland. They had a referendum in 2014. They failed. And they're still agitating for it. Agitation doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be calling out people who do not agree with your position.
That's exactly the angle that I'm going. Because you are seeing it that the agitation by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, by IPOB, obviously, for self-determination is violent, right?
Yes.
Now that's why I said you have to start from the beginning. When did the Nigerian state start attacking IPOB? Let us start counting it from Aba. How is it that carrying a flag becomes a weapon? If you go to Aba, to Obiigbo, to Enugu, to Umuahia, there are instances of people carrying Biafran flag, legitimately walking on the street, requesting, demanding for referendum for Biafra, who were attacked, who were fired on by the state, by the Nigerian state. So what you are saying is, nobody sees those. So it is when you defend yourself, that's when you say you are becoming violent. You don't need to be violent. So didn't you see those ones?
Mazi, let me ask you something.
Yes.
The violence we are talking about, the Nigerian state attacks unarmed protesters.
And that brings us to the question of being able to protest legitimately in Nigeria.
Good, we are coming to that. Now, the resistance IPOB are putting out, is it against Nigerian states or attacking their own people?
That IPOB doesn't attack its own people.
No, let me. I will disagree with you on that. I listened to Professor Chidi Odinkalo, the former chairman of Human Rights Commission. I don't know if he still holds that position. He's the chairman of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee in Anambra State. Now he's no more. He's a former chairman of the Human Rights Commission, but I don't know if he's still the chairman or heading the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Anambra State. The ones who were appointed to him. I watched him a few days ago. He said one of the major security issues in Nigeria is the courts created by politicians and arm them. He mentioned instances that if you talk about this place, maybe if somebody tells you that IPOB is operating in Obosi, they're the ones doing the killings, that is a lie. If they tell you that they are the ones doing things in maybe on the Shah or some part of Anambra State, that's a lie. But he mentioned specific places where these people have taken over, killing innocents, like the Imo State boundary, Anambra, good, those areas. These guys are reigning supreme.
Who are these guys?
The IPOB people.
No, it's not IPOB. I think you are conflating certain gangs.
I think he's
talking about Simon Eba and his group.
I'm telling you what Professor Nnamdi said. Professor Nnamdi said. Okay. So, and Professor Nnamdi is a very respectable person for him to make this statement. And he said, because of the work he did, they have intelligence, they have reports which they are dealing with, which they are working with. So he mentioned places where these IPOB and ESN people are reigning supreme, not against the state, but against citizens, against dissenting voices, against families of people whom they purport to be working for the state.
Okay, remember that there are people who will always want to take advantage of any situation. You understand? And blame it on IPOB. So when you see those who call themselves Biafran Liberation Army, that is championed by some people that we don't know of, you want to blame it on IPOB. It has nothing to do with IPOB. IPOB is an organization that is designed to seek and agitate for self-determination through referendum. Full final stop.
Now, like you said, through referendum. And referendum is a very legitimate way of changing the state policy. And we have seen referendum in many places, especially in Europe. We talked about Brexit. There was one recently in the Republic of Ireland, and there was one in Italy as well. So we've had referendums, referendums, all over the place. But let's look at something interesting that also happened this week in the judicial trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, where his legal team withdrew from the case. I want to understand, learning from from your experience, what is the implication of that?
Are asking me or asking Mazi?
I'll go with the elder first.
Okay. The honest truth is that a professional is a professional. If they tell you that this person is an accountant, there is a reason why he's an accountant. And if they tell you this person is a medical doctor, there is a reason why he's called a medical doctor. He has gone through the rigorous training and knows the medical jargons and medical terms, knows how to diagnose a sickness, knows the right medication to administer. And in the law courts, there is a reason why the law allows legal representation. The lawyer has been trained 5 years in the university, 1 year in law school, intermittent court and chamber attachments, youth service experience, and then not to talk of this legal team of senior advocates, a former attorney general of the federation, Kanu Agabi SAN, right? He was for some time the
former minister for justice. Yeah.
So there is a reason for that. Professionalism is very, very key. If you bring a handyman to come and fix your switch, the way he will do it, there is a difference. Now, the law requires somebody that has been accused of a crime a right to legal representation. And the reason for that is because the person under trial do not know that art of prosecuting or art of defense. It's an art. In fact, I read a book when I was on undergraduate. It's called The Art of Cross-Examination. How to cross-examine witnesses and tear them to pieces or shreds. So, an accused standing trial, he is in detention, would not have access to the legal materials to properly prosecute his defense or to properly put his defense out there. For me, it's a very huge challenge for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to defend himself on such heinous allegation or crime, so to speak. And also when the matter is political, I find it will be a miracle. When I talk of miracle, it will be categorized in the likes of miracle of virgin birth for him to get out of it without a legal team. The category of that kind of miracle that will get him out, serve for political solution, will be a miracle of virgin birth.
Yeah, because when I looked at that issue and I examined various places, even in the UK, there was a recent case of a family. That case they had a lawyer, but at the end of the day, the case broke down because they couldn't establish if the people were guilty or not guilty. And they went back into the case. The case was reappointed. They went back into the case, and the defendants decided that they don't need a lawyer, that they would defend themselves. And by doing that, they defended themselves, and immediately they were found guilty and sentenced. So, what is your position on this?
As a lawyer, I concur with what my colleague just said. It's difficult for you not to be a lawyer and you defend yourself based on the reasoning that he has given. Is you find the technique of, some people don't even know what are leading questions.
Yeah.
You understand? So there are certain...
Not some people, not lawyers don't know.
Not lawyers don't know.
Doesn't know.
Well, I'm a researcher, so I know
with lawyers for too long now, so you need to know some of these stuff. David, with due respect to, I respect you, and you are a very intelligent, anchor and commentator and analyst.
But this one has to do with the technicalities of the law.
Yes.
You understand? So it will be difficult for him to effectively do that. I see it. The way I see it is that even though he has said that is the case, but on the background, he will say be directed by a lawyer or by his team of lawyers. That's how I see it. I see that it will be very, very difficult, as far as I am concerned, for him to prosecute that, for him to defend that case without having lawyers. Yes, a proper legal representation. Experts, just as he has always had.
Yeah, because it looks like, when that happened, it looks like somebody who is going to score an own goal.
But remember, there was something that Barrister also said. Remember that if we are talking of an ordinary case in court, we might say, okay, that it might be 40, 60, 70, 30, 50, 50. But we are talking of this particular case. The experts he has had before from Barrister, what's
Kanu Agabi.
Even before Kanu Agabi,
the one before,
the activist,
the one before San, also.
I remember his name.
The name just escaped me. Osokome.
Okay.
Michael Osokome. Yeah, exactly. So, to Ejimako, to Ejiofo, to Ibaze, to Agabi. So, all those, you see that he has not been out. So, now that he's presenting himself, legally, it's even more difficult legally. You understand? It doesn't necessarily depend on how influential or popular the person is. This one is technical knowledge, and I never support it. From what I listened to Kanu Agabi say, he said that they withdrew by themselves because there's a route Mazi Nnamdi Kanu wants to take that they don't want, so they had to withdraw. But the paper, as usual, the useless Nigerian media said that Kanu sacked his lawyer. But that's absolutely false. That's incorrect. You understand?
Maz, let me say something. It comes out to what I was saying, silencing the voice of opposition. Mazi has a legal team. And this is a legal matter. He might be an expert in agitation for self-determination, but he's not a lawyer. I should have thought that he should have respected the opinion, no matter however he wants to go or however he wants to prosecute his case. He should have listened to the experts in that field.
That's why I said that for these years, he has been with experts. What has happened? Has he come out?
So he said that now that he's not with experts, he's going to go deeper now that he doesn't have experts.
No, the saying there is that this issue is political. It should be handled politically.
And handling it politically, we've had a list of witnesses that he intends to provide within a space of 5 days or so. And that long list, if you look at it, is mainly politicians that are on that list. What do you make of that list?
Well, in law, that's what is called competent and compellable witness. And all of them are competent and compellable witnesses. If there is where things work, if they are served witness someone, they should appear in court. Because that's an order of court,
Exactly.
as far as I'm concerned. But for once, I will agree with Mazi Nnjoku. Things don't work in Nigeria. Things don't go the way they should go. Even to get those politicians to serve them, those witness summons will be almost like a cow passing through the eye of a needle.
Exactly.
So, as far as I'm concerned, you have a right to call whoever you want to call as a witness. If the court serves you the subpoena or the summons, you have to come in.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, it's going to be a
Nigeria.
clear task to get those people served. And if you don't serve them, they don't have it for whatever, except they do subsidiary service. But again, we know how things work in Nigeria.
Exactly.
They can ignore it and nothing will happen. Unfortunately, that's probably maybe the reason why the legal team differed with him, because, and again, the names on those lists are almost like opponents. They're going to come as hostile witnesses. So maybe that's one of the reasons. I don't know, I'm speculating. Maybe one of the reasons why the legal team said, okay, you know what, if this is the direction we want to go, I don't think that this is going to help our case. If I were in that legal team, that would have been my position. I wouldn't, want to bring my enemy to come and testify, whether for or against me. Whatever you want to achieve, I don't think that's the best route to achieve it. There are other ways you could, defend your case, not relying on the testimony of your enemy, who you know where is most likely head to.
I think the state is on trial in the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and I think it concerns the Igbos too. The position of the Igbos in Nigeria has become so. In fact, I can reliably tell you that Igbos in Nigeria, we are an endangered species in Nigeria. Something that can happen to you as a Yoruba man, an Hausa man, a Fulani man, and you will receive a different treatment. When you are an Igbo man, a totally different treatment will be, meted onto you. That's what is happening to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Well, I hope all Igbos who agree to this position and other tribes in Nigeria. Nigeria has well over 300 plus tribes. I hope all of them will agree to this. Your position, Mazi.
It's a complete fact.
Well, it will become fact when the majority of the population agree to it. And you would agree with me also that it's been an interesting discussion. I want to get your opinion. Are the Igbos endangered species in Nigeria? If you think they are, let us know in the comment section. And if you think they are not, let us also know in the comment section. Let's see what your views are. Thank you once again for being part of this episode. And we would always encourage you, share our videos, comment, engage with us. We would appreciate that your little contribution to every of our episode. And on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to the elder in the house, Elder Barrister Nliam.
But you've been beside lawyers for so long that very soon we'll confirm you as barrister in practice.
Barrister in practice.
That's what we'll be introducing you as.
Not professor.
No, barrister in practice. It's always a pleasure. Barrister in practice.
Well, I will go and check what that implies. All right. And on this note, I want to say thank you once again, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, guys.